You're recording.
All right. Well, welcome to this evening Board of Finance. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, 2006. Starting a little bit late at about 7:04. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible. All right, so we'll start off with the approval of the minutes from May 20th, 2026. Can I have that in the form of motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any additions, addendums for the minutes? All right, move to a vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, that passes. Chair's comments, we'll wait for John Picard to come in. So we'll start off with finance member comments. We'll start online with Jude.
Good evening. For Madison Youth and Family Services, we've got Scott. I believe we have Scott here tonight. I can't see
We do.
the audience. Yes, for an update on the opium funds. And the library is going forward with a full schedule of activities for the summer, including their fundraising activities. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Bob?
Yes, sure. I just wanted to report that the Madison Senior Commission just recently elected a new chair. We had a great meeting last week, and they also did a great fundraiser, which raised some funds for the Meals on Wheels program. And we are also actively working to try to figure out some more funding sources for them in reference to that. The other thing I would report is that the Facilities Committee meeting is tomorrow. I will not be able to attend, but I know that Bob Reinhardt is the other liaison, and he will be representing Board of Finance at that meeting. Other than that, I don't have anything else to report.
Thanks, Bob. And just to add, there's some really great buzz about the 250-200. So you guys are doing a great job on that.
Thank you.
John?
Only thing to report is obviously Beach and Rec has been very active. Public information sessions on the plan, or what will be the plan. Citizens are getting active. There was a good showing at Neck River, and aired their concern about the dollars to be spent. So good to see civic engagement on that.
Awesome. John?
Hi. I just wanted to echo what Bob Donnie was saying about the 200, 250. I was at the event last Saturday. Very good turnout, good weather, and very well received, I think, by everyone. So congratulations to that committee and to everyone who's involved. I have nothing special to report on any board of anything else that you recently.
For comments?
Sorry I'm late. Thank you. Here.
All right. And report from the first select one. Thank you.
Yeah, obviously it's a big week in town, so I think a lot of people focus on graduations. Tonight is graduation for Daniel Hand, which I think is probably in the midst right now, as well as Polson. I had a graduate today at Polson, so but also just want to highlight the MAD 200, America 250 events. We had a wonderful event on Saturday on the Green that was more of the kind of formal acknowledgement of the town's 200th by our bicentennial celebration. And then on June 27th is the big event, so to speak, the town birthday party, which is being held at the Surf Club for the Rising Strawberry Moon Festival. It's going to be a great evening. I just encourage any members of the public to attend. It's going to have live bands, food trucks, a lot of different activities, a strawberry shortcake bake-off. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then there's other things happening. Like Friday night, the town had a donation of a mural by a local artist we're going to do the unveiling for that. And then our first district discovery activity is happening that Friday night at what people would know as the Princess House. There's going to be a concert. and all that. So lots of activities around that. Also just want to highlight too, the Surf Club Master Plan was, we had a public information session, a lot of good attendance. We'll be talking about that a bit more on our Monday Board of Selectmen meeting about kind of how that process is going to be moving forward. But it was nice to see a lot of people come out, and because everybody loves the surf club, and we want to make sure that it's going to be here for another 200 years, right? And that's my update.
Thank you, Peggy. And I have to say, the mural at the surf club is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
So, it definitely adds to the allure of the beach.
Yeah, it's very cool. I encourage people to come see it if they can.
Mm-hmm. And with great thanks to the artist, Patrick Canino, for donating his time and talent to the town.
Yes. All right, thank you. Any citizens' comments?
No citizens are on.
Second. Any citizens' comments? Any citizens' comments? We will close the citizens' comments here, and we'll open it up at the end. And I will now pass it back over to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You're doing a fine job. You're going to continue. And I know there's the item number 7 update from the open settlement task force. But before we get to that, 1 second, jump right in. We wanted to open the agenda to add a lease agreement, the 5-year capital lease. I'd like a motion to open the agenda to add this lease proposal that's in front of us.
So move.
Can I get a second for that, please?
Second.
What we're doing is opening the agenda. We can discuss the item later. Any questions on opening the agenda to add the item? If none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, abstention, that motion carries. That will be item. I'm going to make that item 11 and push review financials to 12. So that motion carries. Thank you, everyone. So we have the update from the open selling task force. If ready?
Yeah, all right.
All right, Scott. I'm assuming, Scott, you're taking the lead.
I'll take the lead on this one. Jeannie, can you pull up the PowerPoint, please? And there it is. So, I imagine you're all aware that the town has received quite a bit in terms of opioid funding. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the process that I'm representing the task force, but also work that Peggy has done as well. So I want to walk you through the process we've taken towards making sure that we're properly using that funding and we're using it to the best of our abilities in Madison. And because there is an awareness that Madison has these funds, we had a request from a local nonprofit for some funding for a program. So I'm going to talk about that, as well as we have a request from internally within the town. So we have 2 requests that we'd like to run by you. Those requests have already been endorsed by our opioid task force, as we're calling it, as well as the Board of Selectmen. So that's now. Keep this as high level. There's not a lot of slides.
Thank you, Scott.
You're very, very welcome. I did that for you, John.
Thank you.
So next slide. So the town has received, as of April of 26, $231,000 in opioid settlement funding. That's the current balance. The town has already funded a couple of things that are very minor. I think we've spent more than 10 or 15 grand of the funding we've received in total. And we set out, when we started to get this money, wanting to be very strategic and careful about how we spend it. We started thinking about how we could understand what the needs are, and we wanted to do something that was as comprehensive as possible. We wanted as much of a strategic assessment as well as getting community input. That was very important to us at the beginning. Next slide, please. We engaged a local consultant known as their consulting service was known as Culture of Change. That was headed by Catherine Barden. While you know any of our work, Catherine used to work for the town. She used to work for our department. She was responsible for working with the high school surveys, and had left us to do some work with a government agency. By the way, if you don't know, she recently passed away. We engaged her as a consultant and worked with her around doing some research, but more importantly, getting stakeholder feedback as to what's the best use of this fund in Madison. And they provided a very comprehensive report. They completed the comprehensive report back to the Board of Selectmen. They looked at kind of creating pillars. The feedback they got primarily was spend the money in Madison. It was, if it's to Madison, it really should serve Madison residents. And because Catherine is Catherine, strong emphasis on prevention. How can we educate and prevent opioid abuse and opioid related problems? Creating treatment for access to treatment, support for folks that were struggling with problems or related problems to opioid, and creating resiliency where we could. So we worked with the town, fund things that would help, basically strengthen what we're already doing. They came up with some core recommendations that actually should say May of 2025. They provided a pretty comprehensive report to the Board of Selectmen at that time, supporting the initiation of a task force, oversee the use of the fund, to make sure that we're always aligning what we're doing with the fund with what's in the settlement guidance itself. Making sure that we continue to get community input and that we continue to plan as actively as possible. Any questions so far? All right, go on. We basically consider this kind of an initiative. This is really creating the task force. And that was something that was appointed. That was something Peggy took on to appoint the members who would sit on the task force for the town. And as we got to working, since there were a number of areas that everyone felt were important to touch upon, there wasn't like one single project for us to do or one single way of spending this money. So we wanted to make sure that we figured out ways to have money for all the things that we wanted to do. Then the task force would then be responsible for tracking that. And we basically came down to 4 funding categories. So you'll see that in a minute. Next slide, Gene. And really this just kind of walks through, again, those are the recommendations from the culture change, and just walking through a timeline that I thought might be helpful for you to know. So they did their presentation in May of 2025. We got the task force established that was again appointed by Peggy between last summer and this past fall, and did a lot of work creating the funding categories going into this winter and spring. And we've been to BOS, and now we're here tonight just so you see how we went through. Next slide. This is the members of the task force. Myself, Trent, Austin, Russ, Gail Dowling-Hench from central office, and Sam. I guess Peggy felt like these were all the people who needed more to do, so we might have put them all on the task force. Actually, all of this, the connection is public health. Like all of us have something to do with public health and safety. The next slide. So the categories we came up with, and these were discussions that took place in between myself and Peggy as well as at the task force. We wanted to make sure we had money allocated for prevention and education, municipal capacity building, money that we could help directly assist people that were struggling with recovery or needing help with recovery. And then we also wanted to provide grants to what would look like mini grants to local providers. So if somebody wanted, let's say there was a nonprofit or a treatment agency in town or someone that's helping to treat town members, they wanted to run a special program, they could ask us for money. They'd have to outline what they wanted to do, and then the task force could perhaps approve of it. That category, by the way, we are still putting in the fine details on. So, and what's also important for you to know, so for the municipal, for the direct assistance and the grants for providers, we would need to do some public promotion of that. People need to know that we are running these programs, and that if people wanted to apply for these mini grants, or if somebody needed some help, they would know how to access this money from the town. The municipal capacity building really is just a portion of the funding that we would set aside to make sure if there's any infrastructure that we need, staffing, equipment, training, those would be things that we would do to enhance municipal capacity. Prevention and education is just a fund where if we wanted to run a program, or if we were asked by the schools to run a program, or bring in a speaker, or buy a curriculum, we would have money set aside for that. So hopefully we feel like that we've hit on as much as we can in terms of the intent. The next slide, Gene. So the task force has been established, and we have 2 requests that have been identified for this bundle. The first one was a request from the local nonprofit, one of our favorites, somebody we've partnered quite a bit with for Madison Family, and that's Demand Zero. We also would like to purchase with the town Narcan kits that we would add to all the town AED sites or stations across the town. So we'll just walk through those really quick one by one.
Scott, this is all vetted through the task force too.
I'm sorry?
This is all vetted through your task force.
Yes, yep.
Good.
The next slide, Jamie. So Demand Zero asked for $20,000. They were already planning, and I'm not just going to say Lisa Dean because she's the head, and I'll try to say Demand Zero, but then I'm just going to start saying Lisa at some point. So Lisa had reached out and had asked, could the town make a contribution? They were doing a national, she was a big part of a national online workshop that was, that included Daniel Hand, and that there were 12 Daniel Hand classrooms that were signed up to participate in this particular workshop. So that's 120 students. Well, she asked for $20,000 as a contribution to this program. When we talked about it at the task force, since we don't already have set up more of an outline or details on a mini grant program, we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, and $20,000 is a pretty significant amount of funding. However, Lisa's done this work for many, many years. For those who don't know her, she's probably our leading nonprofit pillar against opioids as well as substance abuse in general. So we felt appropriate to help out as a contribution would be $10,000, and to leave room in the future once we've completed details on how to apply for our mini grants, that she could come back and ask for more money down the line. But we felt it was appropriate to endorse $10,000. So that task force endorsed the $10,000, and Board of Selectmen agreed to that one. The next slide.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Just for my own clarification, the $10,000 would then come out of the category of grants for providers?
Yes, yep. So the second request, and Russ can speak to this directly, we would like to be able to purchase 22 Narcan cases, as well as the appropriate signage to go with those, and to be placed across all the AED stations across the town. And essentially, it's not that we're planning for people to have an overdose in these places. That was a question that had come up with the Board of Selectmen. It's more that we want to create stations where people know where emergency equipment is located. So if something did happen at one of these town sites or at a school, they already know where to go to get help. They would know to go there in the case of an accidental overdose or an overdose. Just so you know, that was kind of the idea. And this would be funded through our municipal capacity needs. Anything I'm missing that you would add? That's good. Any questions on that one? Next slide, Gene. So we've already established regular meetings of the task force. We want to continue working on to develop our mini grant program. And then we need to get this information out. So you'll see a greater push for us to promote this, how to access this funding for people that would want to access it. And any questions? So we're asking you, that's the next agenda item we have to vote on those allocations.
My question would be just to hang around to get to the next agenda item.
Sure.
If it was well put. Any questions for John?
What's the total amount of the settlement? It might have been presented to us before, but I just can't recall.
Over
Entire
the
amount?
town,
Yeah, yeah.
about $231,000. It's in your packet too, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Gentlemen, thank you, Scott. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, so everybody may discuss and take action to the request from the opioid settlement task force to disperse funds from the opioid settlement account approved by the board of selectmen on May 26. A is demand zero in the amount of 10,000 for the synthetic opiate drug education awareness program. I want to do both at the same time. And B is the Madison Neighborhood Association amount of 7,590 for the development initiative. Can I get that formal motion, please? So motion made by Ju, second.
Second.
Mr. Chair?
Second. There's motion in a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I probably should have said this before. I'm going to recuse myself from item A. So
Could have split them up.
I know. So I guess I should recuse myself from the whole vote. I'm involved with demand zero, so I just think it's proper to recuse myself on that.
Okay, you could abstain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough. Any other comments or? We got a motion to approve both item A and item B, the amount of 10,000 for demand zero and then 7,590 for
One discussion. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It's great that you have a governance. This is going to be great work, great for the community. So sorry to add this, but thank you. All again. Thanks,
And thank you to all the volunteers on the board. Yes. On the task force, I should say.
Couldn't agree more. And Scott, I'd like that presentation. Let's keep that in mind. I like to give Scott a little all the time. I don't know how that happened. Probably my fault. No. Hey, seriously, thank you. Any other discussion? Say that, and all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstention?
Ascension, yeah.
Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We have item 9, discuss and take action to approve request from the Madison Ambulance Association to move $350,000 from CIP from fiscal 28 to the CIP to fiscal 27 for the purchase of an ambulance, which was approved by the Board of Selectmen on June 9, 26. Can I get that in form of a motion, please? So, motion made by second, please.
Second.
Here's Bob. Get a motion and second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstention, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Item 10, discuss and take, thank you, we never hear over here. It's probably really clear. So that's, it caught me for a second.
That's fine.
Item 10, discussing action to approve, to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to start the review process for establishing an OPEB trust fund. So John, why don't you make that motion?
I will make that motion.
Can I get a second? We have a motion made in second discussion. I think we've had this is to get things rolling. But go ahead, John. You want to say a couple?
No. I mean, you know how I feel, and I think we're a little late to the game, but better late than never. And I think it's time to step up and do what we need to do. I guess my question is: are we going to suggest an amount to the Board of Selectmen, or are we going to let them?
No.
Okay.
Right. To me, it would be they get it started, then we decide what we want to do. As
Okay.
That's our job.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, that's fine. So what do we? So we'll have a.
So just like the previous, it was approved by the Board of Selectmen. They're going to start a process. They're going to establish the OPEB trust fund, but they don't fund it. We
Okay.
fund it or don't fund it.
So there's no reason to talk numbers tonight, not the amount or anything.
You can, but it won't make a
No,
difference.
won't make it talk until we have that established.
Right.
Okay.
Any other?
So my suggestion, maybe for you and Peggy, is instead of, kicking it over to the Board of Selectmen and then them coming back, we could have a workshop. Just to have a discussion, we make it more efficient.
We can have a discussion. First, you have to establish a trust fund, right? Because then you can fund, there's other parameters we know once the trust fund's established. And they can make a recommendation. I'm just being clear to Peggy and to the Board of Selectmen, to all of us. We decide financially what we're going to do. They can make a recommendation. So we're happy to have a workshop.
Well,
Want to say something?
I was gonna say, if we all decide to establish the trust, it would be a special appropriation.
Right.
To infuse money into it, so it would have to go to both boards in a town meeting if it's over 250.
If it's over 250.
Yeah. But I think the initial thought was the Board of Selectmen buys it, recommends to you all, then you have your recommendation.
Correct. Go ahead, Peg. I'm sorry. Stacy had her hand up before you about 3 seconds.
No, she just echoed what I say. I mean, because we don't have any funding for this, so any funding would likely come from fund balance. So that would have to go through both boards for approval, and then depending on the amount, possibly town meeting. So I think the idea is to start the conversation. It's listed as a topic at our meeting for Monday night. Our board hasn't spent as much time talking about this, so I think it's important to just, for Stacy to walk through what it is, what it means, because there's also then a budgetary discussion going forward about how we want to continue to fund it if we do through the budgeting process. So I think starting it, having those conversations, what it means in terms of the budgets, establishing a trust fund versus a reserve fund, all those things I think are conversations that our board really hasn't had. And I know you spent more time. So the idea is we'll start that. We'll come up with our ideas, maybe make a recommendation to you. If you feel like you want to have a joint meeting at one point on this, I think that makes sense. I just think we have a little bit of a learning curve to go up first before we have that kind of workshop.
I think it makes sense if need be to have it joint meeting. But right now, let the Board of Selectmen do their due diligence. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say that correct me if my recollection is incorrect, but
I thought you said correct me if I'm wrong, Travis. We haven't seen that.
But my recollection is that any contribution we make to this will have a beneficial effect on budgets in the future. So that's something that we need to remember. And secondly, memory serves, we can fund to a certain point, and then I think we reach a critical mass where we can actually invest in another vehicle that will provide better return. Is that correct, Stacy? Do I remember that correctly?
Once we create the trust fund, yes.
Okay. So I think it's
And you can do it at a certain point. I think where you're going with that, you can actually self-fund. Depending.
as I recall. But I think take-home messages, I think it's something that's important that the town should do because we definitely provide benefits in the future.
I don't think it's right. And I think one of the things to be mindful of is right, everything you said, but also then there will be a liability that we have to fund going forward.
Well, and that's where I would argue, I think we have to go through that math and how this all works, because it's going to actually be a hit to the budget if we decide to start funding it going forward, because we're going to be accruing a liability. So I think that's something that we haven't looked at a lot. And I think that we'll go through that exercise because it is kind of a trade-off, right? And then the question is, do you fund it up front or do you fund it through the budgeting process? Because right now we're just pay as you go, correct, Stacy? I mean, we're just pretty much managing it every year. So it will change how we would handle this on an annual basis.
But these pension fund obligations are obligations anyway, so there's no way that we can not fund it. We just have to choose which ways to fund it, correct?
Well, it's not pension though. This is retiree medical, which is different, right? We have a trust fund for pension, yeah.
Post-employment benefits. Yeah.
Same idea.
The difference is, with the pension, you guys know this, or anybody else in there, it's an obligation. You have to pay. Whether you have $0 or not, they'll still say, go find the money.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is we're obligated,
Right,
regardless of whether we pay now or pay later.
At a certain point, what Peggy said, it'll be an ongoing liability. If the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance decide to put X, you're gonna have to do it every year to the budget. So it's gonna actually increase the budget. At some point, it will help, right? And then, hopefully that money's making money at some point in the future, it'll help. But right now, it's going to be a discussion the Board of Selectmen is going to be an extra, unless you had X amount of dollars you pumped in right now, and I'm not saying we're doing that. And and then you didn't have it. So you let that money go make it.
Yeah, to John's point, if anyone's watching this meeting or in the future watching the meeting, a few meetings ago, we had Mahoney Sable, present to us, and they talked about that. And they gave some examples of projections, and after, if they took a 20-year horizon, had about 10 years on those projections, we would hit that critical mass and be able to start paying. So it was very informative if anybody wants to see.
That's, he's better than I do. That's just at a certain point that we're not, it's not gonna start out that way, just like with the pension, right? Until you get the critical numbers. Peg, it looks like you want to say something else.
Yeah, I just realized I think we can't put it on Monday's agenda because Stacy's not around to help us have the discussion. I think Stacy did tell me this. And so it would be on the July meeting. So apologies. I know I was intending it to be on Monday, and then I forgot she's not going to be around. So she's kind of a critical person to have at that discussion. So
Not Stacy. Any other comments? We have a motion and a second to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to start the process, review process for establishing open trust fund. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstention, the motion carries. And that will be the July agenda. We have item 11, the new item, we have the 5-year lease. Kristen, this is your.
Yes, it's my baby. So we have an approved CIP 3607. Staff has identified all of their items. We have everything lined up, and I have also lined up the financing. Our highway equipment fund is a leasing vehicle, and it's been successful for, you're gonna hold me to it. How long has this been now? 8 years? Yeah, I was gonna say, 8 years. And, I reached out to, the one who I am recommending is a vendor that we have currently worked with.
And that would be First American.
That First American, they've been easy to work with. Our attorney loves their documents, everything is done really well, and their interest rates keep coming back, beating everyone else. The other two that I reached out to are on the Source Law Purchasing Consortium, which has done phenomenal for all of our equipment and vehicles. They really have done great, and they didn't do as, so I was thinking I was gonna get a different answer, but that First American has really come through for us, and I really am recommending that that's the one that we work for. You can tell that it's also, in the end, it'll be below the budget that I have in there, so.
But the Board of Finance doesn't care how pretty the paperwork is, that the return likes, let's be clear.
It's less than the
Rates,
budget.
It's in the budget, the rate is better,
Exactly.
and it's an established company.
Yes.
And it's already budgeted for, so let me, yeah. So we had the 5-year lease agreement with First American, the interest rate was 4.92,
Or
4.94. A little less than budgeted for. Any questions on the 5-year lease agreement?
Yes, this is highway equipment.
Do you notice Jonathan raised his hand?
I yield to the gentleman.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
yes, CIP, one of the funds is the highway equipment replacement.
And this is.
And these are all the items that were in the approved package, and they've come in under budget, all of them. We're about $30,000 under what the equipment price was supposed to be, which is reflected in what our lease payment is.
Thank you.
John Russ, stick that down.
No,
Go ahead, John.
I guess taking a step back and just looking at the big picture here, I mean, I guess what this allows us to do is get all the equipment up front, then pay for it over the next 3 years, rather than we could budget 122 each year, but that means we would be staggering the purchases,
Yeah,
basically.
and we have new
We're-
lease payments coming up every year, so we can't get 6 items now
Right.
and then budgeting it over 5 years and get 6 new items next year. So this is a plan that we implemented, and it's been working, and
we've been able to get ahead of it. We were behind for a very long time.
But that's the real gain, is getting the equipment up front because we need it right away. It's costing us almost 5%, but that's the trade-off for difference between appropriating it each year.
Correct.
Well, also, you know, the feds did not raise rates today. They obviously did not cut rates today, which is what some were asking for because inflation was a little stickier than they thought. So the rate actually is not, I know 5%, people at 5%, really not that bad.
We anticipated six in the budget for the CIP.
So that's
So this was a win for us when we got the 4.9, we were like, yeah, so.
Because the rates were high for a very long.
They were. Any other comments or questions? Good.
Because I saw you.
Data vision, I think it's Dan.
So this is good stewardship. That was funny. So thank you for.
A lot, thanks.
No.
Any other discussion, Mr. Chair, or anything else? All in favor, say aye, or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed, abstention, written motion carries. Review the financials. And I do thank you for sending those out, Stacy. There's my thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. As well. That's the last thing.
Okay.
Anybody have any comments, questions?
You know, just, I guess this is kind of a follow-up to our OPEB action. You know, as we look at what our fund balance is and what we need to keep in reserve, that leaves us, if you look at the bottom of the page, $9.2 million. And I guess I'll just go back to the point I've been trying to make all along. Yeah, we have that 9.2 on paper, but we have these liabilities because we didn't pay for something that we should have paid for before. And GASB, our standard setter down in Norwalk, Connecticut, finally came up about 20 years ago and said, hey, government should be paying for current services currently. And Madison's not the only government that's done this. The state of Connecticut's the biggest offender, to the tune of about $60 billion. But that's what happened with governments. They didn't pay for these things. So when we talk about kind of the theory of funding these things, it is time to start paying for it now, because we're actually trying to play catch up for what we didn't do in the past. So I'll just make that point.
Anybody else, any comments on the financials? Right. Citizens' comments, anybody from the public would like to speak? Gentlemen, it's on the second time, anybody out? Virtual?
There's one person on, but not raising their hand.
Second time? Third time, there's been none, public information session is now closed. I get a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 7:41 PM. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.